Have you ever really thought about happiness? Like what it means to be happy? This is something I've been thinking about lately, and I'm just going to talk because you guys really seem to like that kind of format. So I'm just going to tell you what I've been thinking about with happiness. And I want to know if you've been thinking about this too, or if you've ever thought about this. So here's the thing. Happiness is the quiet part that no one talks about. Like everything that you do, or almost everything you do in your life, is because you want happiness. Why do you want to get in shape? Why do you want to lose weight? Well, you say, well, because I want to be healthy or because I want to look good. But what you're not saying is, well, if I'm healthy, I'll be happy. If I look good, I'll be happy. If it helps me be more attractive so I can get a partner, then I'll be happy. Happiness is the thing that we're always chasing. Everything we do always boils down to, if you dig deep enough, to then I'll be happy. And that's the important thing, is that then I'll be happy. Like all the marketing that we have in life, everything you see is designed really around one thing. You lack something, and if you buy our thing, you won't lack that anymore. Ultimately, that thing you lack is happiness. And if you buy our thing, you'll be happy. It's pretty absurd, like how much our desire to chase happiness dictates so much of our life. But here's the thing. Have you ever stopped to think what it really means to be happy? Like, how do you know when you're there? How do you know when you've actually achieved that thing? Like, it's that thing that we hardly ever acknowledge it, even though it drives so much of what we do. Most of us don't ever stop to analyze it, to say, well, what is it exactly that I'm chasing? How will I know when I get there? And one of the key things about any goal is it has to be measurable and quantifiable so you know when you've achieved it. Like if somebody says to me, well, I want to lose 6 pounds. I go, cool. Let me go get my meat cleaver. I'll get 6 pounds off you like that. No problem. And they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Well, no, I mean, like, I want to lose some fat. Oh, you want to lose 6 pounds of body fat. Okay, now we're getting more specific. So it's got to be something measurable and quantifiable. And if happiness is your goal, how do you know when you've achieved it? Like, what is it? So remember a moment in your life when you were really happy. For example, one of my happiest moments that I bring up a lot in my mind is when my son was about 3 years old and he was running circles around the house and just pure joy, just running and doing these circles and just giggling. He was so happy, and every time I think about that, like, it makes me happy to like remember that moment and relive that feeling and feel that. That's happiness. But then there's also a moment when I'm out in nature and I just see a particular tree that strikes me, and I just stand there in awe of this tree, and I'm just like, that's happiness. And there's those moments of just ecstasy when you're just so vibrantly alive and everything is just like in its place, and there's no other word other than ecstasy for that. That's happiness. Or when your team wins the championship. I mean, watch any sports team when they win and the way they jump around and hug each other, arms in the air and cheering, and that's happiness. And those moments when you're just hugging someone you love, there are no words to be exchanged. It's just this pleasure of holding someone who's holding you back, and they absolutely love you and you absolutely love them. And it's this quiet moment of bliss and contentment right there. And that's happiness. So all these things are happiness. So when you make a decision to do something, to pursue a goal, or to buy a thing, you're seeking some version of that. But which one? In your relationships, you can have those joyful giggles and that deep ecstasy and those quiet moments of just appreciation of each other, all within that one relationship. So when you're seeking a relationship, you're not just seeking one of those things, you're seeking a bunch of them. In whatever the pursuit, of this happiness, it's fleeting. It's not only is it always different, we have all these different levels and intensities of happiness, but they don't last. They never last. You know, that joy of having won the championship, you can remember it, but it's never quite as intense as when it really happens. And then the next season, you're chasing it again. That exciting moment and those moments of ecstasy, they pass, and then you have the humdrum days. That's not happiness. And those moments of just fun and laughing and giggling with your children or your friends or whatever, you know, those go too. You know there's going to be those times when you're helping them out with something hard, or you've gone through a tragedy, or they've gone through a tragedy, and you're there to comfort. And that's not happiness. So when we're seeking happiness, what is it that we're seeking? What are we really after? Which one of those feelings? And I think this is one of the fundamental things that we need to really begin to understand about ourselves. Because ultimately, I think the happiness that we're seeking is contentment. It's kind of a low intensity level of happiness, but it is pervasive. Even in those moments of pain and sorrow and suffering, you still know that overall, the sum is more happy than sad. When you gain that perspective, instead of constantly chasing those highs, I think you can appreciate the kind of less intense forms of happiness better, and kind of have a better idea of what it is you're actually seeking. So some of your decisions become better because you can see that a decision to chase ecstasy, cheating on your partner, would actually be detrimental to your long-term contentment. Also, you know, when those moments when you argue with your partner and you have a fight and you disagree about something, you don't blow up the whole relationship. But at the same time, a lot of people, I think, fail to see that being with their partner hoping that they're going to become happy when the relationship doesn't even actually come out to one of contentment. Like overall, that whole relationship is less than content. And they're hoping that by staying in it, they're going to somehow make it better. By maybe they can infuse more of those intense moments of happiness to kind of balance things out. But that's kind of more codependence. What I think is a really healthy thing to do is begin to kind of quantify what happiness means to you. Those moments in your life when you felt it, and the type of happiness you're trying to achieve with any particular pursuit. And also name them. They all fall under, I think, the category of happiness is like a broad category. You know, let's break them down. Why am I going to this festival? Because I'm looking for particular moments of happiness. You know, those giggly happy moments, those moments of shared experience, that kind of happiness. Why am I getting ready to propose to my partner? Because I feel like I can achieve that kind of overall happiness in spite of some hardships. That I'll have so many good moments and they'll outweigh the bad moments. And even when there's nothing particularly good, it's still better than without. Having that clarity. Why am I chasing this better body? What kind of happiness is that? Do I expect that is going to give me? And is that a realistic way to get it? Think about what happiness is to you, what the types of happiness that you're seeking are, and why you're seeking them. Ultimately, I think that like that general level of happiness, that contentment, interspersed with those high moments and those low moments, but when you can say overall the balance is more on the high than on the low, I think you're doing pretty good. I don't think we really appreciate that enough in life. And if you're not feeling that, if your overall level of existence is not contentment, it's below that, and you're chasing extremes in order to kind of push the balance that way instead of kind of more sustainable levels of happiness, because the more extreme a level of happiness, the less sustainable it is. Real just pleasure of being around people who you love and care about, who love and care about you back, is not as intense as that ecstasy of that like new relationship energy, that limerence, but it's sustainable. Like you can feel that for a long period of time when you're in somebody's presence. Sometimes you're like, okay, I've kind of maxed out on that and I need to be alone. And there's a level of pleasure and contentment that we get from that, of just being on our own and being in peace. And that's a level of joy and happiness. And it's more sustainable over the long run. And those extreme highs, like winning the marathon or the race or achieving the goal you've set yourself for months ago, like that happiness is very high. Joy, that excitement, that elation. Elation, that's a good word. That's a good one to put on your scale, elation. When you figure out what these different things are, kind of rank them, you know? So, you know, like there's contentment and there's pleasure and there's joy and there's excitement and there's elation and there's ecstasy, and you don't have to use my scale, use your scale, like whatever it is, like, and it just, as long as those words have a meaning to you, you kind of have a word to identify that happiness, and ideally a memory, an experience where you felt that and you know what that is, or you've seen someone else feeling it and you know that's what you want. And so you can approach it with some sanity and make some good choices that are going to lead you to that goal, but also to a more sustained, prolonged, more happy life. Instead of constantly being dragged one way or the other by chasing this one or chasing that one or chasing whatever one the media is trying to throw at you, and whatever one they say, if you buy this product or go to this event or do this thing, you'll be happy. When you don't really feel happy and you don't have contentment and you don't have a good understanding of what happiness means to you, you can be pulled any which way, and that leads to disaster. Really think about that. Because along the lines of figuring this out, I think you'll have some really interesting conclusions. If you involve other people in this process, you'll have some really interesting conversations. You'll find out something about yourself that I think will really make some profound, lasting changes in your life. And it may not be something you notice right away. A lot of times these kind of changes accumulate over time. But I think it's really important to start there. Start with asking yourself, what does happiness mean to you? And that's my thoughts on happiness. So if you like this kind of stuff, give me a like, subscribe, it helps me out a lot. If you really like this kind of stuff, you can join the channel. That helps me produce more content. And if you want to dig deeper and really find out what it's going to take to make your life more content, have more of that happiness, that meaning, and that purpose that drives you to really do and experience and have a truly happy life, click the link down below and apply for some coaching. We'll have a one-on-one talk and we'll see if maybe that's a good fit for you. YouTube is probably showing you another video right now that it thinks you're going to like, and I hope you watch it, and if you do, I'll see you there. Peace.